Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
It is North Bergen, New Jersey's favorite podcast. Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. I'm Jason, and as you can see, Brian is not here. So we got a replacement on Mike 4, and he's one of my oldest friends, and he's the voice of Pittsburgh independent wrestling, Mike Daughtery, a.k.a. The Doc. Thanks for jumping in on Fourth Mic tonight, Doc. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor.
So how we start the show, it used to be just all about me. Only child syndrome is what we blame it on. A couple weeks ago, we got an email from Ryan. We still don't know if it's a man or a woman. And she asked why I don't introduce the team and find out what they're up to. So we introduced Doc. And then the only other thing that we're going to do right now is we want to talk to Kevin. Of course, last week was the 40th birthday celebration. Kevin, as you crossed 40, any new aches and pains this week?
I got an AARP letter in the mail. That was kind of fun. I went to an amusement park and I was all up for like realizing like, oh, I'm probably going to throw out my back this week. Cause it usually happens. And knock on wood, I still feel like I'm a fresh 39.
So you were the king of Kings Island last weekend.
I was.
That's awesome.
I was. Maybe I'll even send you guys an embarrassing photo because my son made me a construction paper crown, and he said I got to be the king of the weekend. So awesome. It was funny because usually he's mama's boy, right?
Yeah.
364, except for my day, or 2 days, Father's Day. He'll give me that one too to throw me a bone. But it was funny because she's like, "Oh, we should do this," and he was like, "Mom, stop. Dad is the boss today." And she's like, "Well, what about tomorrow?" He's like, "Back to you, Mom." It was funny. It was funny.
And we will hear from Brett about Brett later in the NFL picks. But now it's time to start the show off as we always do. What are you wearing?
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
It's the weekly check-in of what 4 40-year-old men are wearing. It is a pro wrestling podcast, so pro wrestling shirts are mandatory, and we will start with Mike 4. Doc, what do you have this week?
Hey, I have to say, it's my vintage Dudley's shirt. It's actually a long sleeve they sold. I bought this at an event in Pittsburgh. It says Devon, has testify on the arm, and on the back it says get the tables.
Do you know what year you bought that since it's vintage?
Oh my gosh. It was definitely Attitude Era. I know that.
So Kevin, that shirt probably would have been about $600 when we were in Vegas at the wrestling for sale.
Maybe even more because the long sleeve.
Yeah.
Per inch is like $60. So
I'm guessing that's probably 2000, 2001.
Yeah, it sounds about right for Attitude Era. Joe, what do you have? Oh, wait. Joe, are you repeating again?
No, I'm actually not. I went back to the archives and I've owned this shirt forever. It's the purple Macho Man Classic.
Everybody owns that shirt. Everybody owns that shirt.
And here's the thing. I realized why it seemed like it's a repeat because I think Brian has worn it like 12 times.
Having a couple times with the tank top.
So in honor of Brian not being here, I'm wearing it for the first time because he probably would have wore it this week anyway.
In honor of Brian not being here, I'm wearing a DX China shirt. So I can just say, suck it, Brian, for not being here. Kevin, what do you got?
This was a free shirt that I got in Vegas. I am trying to think. I was like, man, what shirt can I wear? Because I try to, not do repeats. And the amazing cameo last week, I was like, oh, should I wear my Brett shirt, with the skull, with the missing teeth? And I was like, you know what? That one almost made the list tonight, but I wanted to go with the Micro Brawler shirt just because Zack Ryder regained his internet championship this past weekend against Effie. It's actually a really sweet shirt. It's got Brian on it. It's got Matt. Micro Brawlers, the little, for people who don't know, they're the little, they're like foamy, right? Or are they hard plastic?
They're like a hard rubber, Pro Wrestling Tees exclusive. They're the ones that put them out. And where'd you get that shirt, Kevin?
my good buddy Jason Marchuka, the pod general, Huey Lewis, got me in, and it's soft. I love it.
So another great week of Monday Night Raw, and I feel like it's because of us. Our initiative, our fundraising efforts through our whatamaneuver.net store, where proceeds benefit the Make Raw Better program, has been working for like 3 or 4 weeks now. So, Joe, or actually, we'll go to Doc. We don't let Joe talk about Monday Night Raw because he shits all. He hates it regardless of whatever happens.
I've been so positive the last couple of weeks.
So we don't let Joe talk about Mondays, but we will start with you.
All right.
What did you think of those 2 badass tag team matches? Charlotte and Sasha against Bianca and Becky, and then Big E and Drew versus the Usos. What did you think of those 2 tag matches?
I liked them, and I'll tell you why. Because one thing about wrestling fans, and I mean, I've learned this not only just watching it, but also being part of the business. Fans love chaos, and they were chaotic. It was like, wait a minute, they're supposed to be teaming together. They're fighting. And just the simple fact is they were brewing up these feuds between all the, between the women, between, of course, Big E and Drew. It was amazing. I thought I loved it. And they were also, if you think about it, they were setting up for Survivor Series because whoever wins at Crown Royal,
a la in form.
Whoever wins there, or whoever wins at that is going to, of course, go to fight Reigns at Survivor Series. So they're brewing all the pots. Yeah. It's just, what's gonna pop up first is the question. Like what's gonna hit the wall first and stick?
You can swear here. It's okay.
Well, yeah, I just saying. Where I'm going at with it, the simple fact is I love the women's match was just insane.
It was awesome. And Joe, since you hate Charlotte, I will just go on to say I love the women's tag match much better than the men's, because I feel like what we're going to get now that Becky is she's the SmackDown champ, but she's drafted to Raw, and Charlotte is, or whatever, Raw champion on SmackDown. I think we're finally going to get what I want. I think somebody from WWE is listening to this podcast. I think we're going to get the women's unification. So the women's tag and the women's championship will be bouncing from show to show. And I think that's what we're going to get at SummerSlam. Charlotte versus Becky. I can't wait.
Survivor Series?
Whatever I just said, yeah.
You said SummerSlam, so I don't think we're going to wait a year.
I don't think we're going to get that. You have too many.
I actually do.
You do?
Yeah.
I agree. I can't believe I agree with Jason, but I think they have to have it because we're back to, and it's you mentioned it on Twitter, and that was my only, and it's shockingly my only complaint about Raw was the women are not getting enough time again. We're getting like 1.5 minute matches.
Oh, we'll get into that in a minute.
I know you want to go on your soapbox on that one, and I'll cheer you. I'll cheer you on that. But I think they need to have the unification. Just have the tag and the women's champion.
Just go back and forth
because there's not enough anymore.
But if you do get that, Joe, just be prepared because you'll see a lot more Charlotte in your wrestling viewing. Just for the fact where Becky will not win that because she's on Raw with Seth and Baby travels with them. She's not going to be the mega traveler between Raw and SmackDown. So if that happens and there's unification, you will get your number one choice of Charlotte nonstop.
Love Charlotte.
As long as Nia is never champ, I'm okay with that because we don't need to see her again on both shows like we did at the beginning of the year.
You mean never champ or never back?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, kid.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Joe hates
like Nia.
I like Nia Jax. She's awesome, and she's going to come back with this big baby face push, and she's going to break Shayna Baszler's arm. And it's going to be awesome leading into 2022.
The best thing,
it's going to go over as well as a Big Show face turn. She'll be back to a heel in 2 weeks.
Speaking of that, I saw it. I should have clicked it. I should have damn clicked it. I click on too many wrestling things on Facebook, and it was like all of Big Show's 32 face or heel turns in his history. And
in the month of November,
5 that made the least sense. And it's just 32. Like I wish I clicked on it.
I thought you were going to say that you saw him in the Thong Song video that I brought up last week.
I did not.
I was looking at the Denny's. So
yeah, Doc has a good story about the Big Show at Denny's. Go ahead, tell that story. That was a good one.
All right. Sitting after a Raw event, it was the one that Stephanie McMahon slapped him in the face. And I mean, we felt the slap where we were sitting. That's how hard she hit him. And she fired.
Oh, she must have cut his mic too, because she doesn't want Doc to tell the story of, can't hear. Yeah, you cut off. Stephanie McMahon cut off your mic.
I'm going to pretend. I'll
So
say the
she's
rest.
definitely listening. It's proof.
So yeah.
It's like CM Punk's pipe bomb. As soon as he was about to mention Thea Star, it got cut off. So Doc must have been really juicy details.
There
All
he
right.
is. Welcome back.
This is at the Denny's, and what happened is the bus pulls in. I didn't know it was Big Show though. We're eating, and I don't know. I gave you props, so I said I had my Macho Man shirt on, the purple one. And as I'm sitting there, yeah, exactly. And I was eating. I looked up, and there he was, and I was like, "Oh my god!" My friend's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Turn around." He turned around. He walked in. There was us, and then there was like two other couples. One of them was old. They just looked at him and shook his head. And there's these guys that were there. They were from another country. Walks in, he goes, "Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?" Like, because he knew as soon as we all looked at him, So he goes towards the back to sit down, and we hear, and there's two guys from another country get up, "Big Show, Big Show, Big Show," with their cameras. They start running towards him, and his driver, who I found out like afterwards was his dad. His dad was his driver. So his dad goes, "He just got off work. Leave him alone."
Wait a minute. Are you saying that he did not die at the Big Boss Man who drug his wait a minute, that big come on.
He died in 1999, and you're saying that you saw him after Stephanie slapped him. This storyline doesn't make sense.
So at that point, they bothered him, and I'm like, great. And I was like, you know what? You're right. He just got done. He just got done working. I'm not going to bother him. So we started eating. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this though. And the waiter come over. I said, hey, tell Big Show he could pick any appetizer he wants. Don't even tell him who I am. Just tell him to pick it. So as he does it, he says real loud, "Well, I just got fired. He should buy my whole meal." And my friend just looked at me and goes, "You're fucked. You are so fucked." I was like, "Shut up." So he picks them. He goes, "Yeah, I'll have the nachos. I'll have the nachos. Tell whoever that was." I said, "Thanks." And then I hear him whisper, and the guy whispered back, "It's the kid in the Macho Man shirt."
Oh,
like, shit.
Snitches get stitches, waiter from Denny's.
Right? So the waiter come over, and I went to put down his $10 tip and took $5 back. And then at that point, I go up to pay my bill, and I hear, "Hey!" I turn around. He's like, "Come here, man." And I was like, "All right." So I walk over, and we just started talking, man. I told him what I did, and he told me, "Wow, you work a thankless fucking job." I was like, "Yeah." And then he goes, "Taste that gravy." And it was this plate of gravy with fries. And he was like, "Take a fry." And I went to dip it. He would jam it in there. I was like, "All right, fine, here." And I ate it. And he goes, "What do you think?" I was like, "That's good." He goes, "Yeah, man, I never tried that before." He had, I'm not lying, like there was like 5 entrees, the nachos I bought him, something else. And he pointed at my nachos and he goes, "You're lucky it's a cheat day." And I was like, "Oh shit." So when I shook his hand, you ever shake a toddler's hand? How it just fits inside your, I was that toddler again.
Nice.
And after I shook his hand, nicest guy in the world, talked a couple more minutes, met my other friend, Erwin, and we just talked, man. It was not about wrestling. And then he just sat there, and Erwin goes, "So when you getting the belt back?" And he just laughs. I mean, loud, like, ha, ha, ha. And he goes, "I'm there to get the young guys over, man." We left. I paid the bill. I bumped into somebody holding their laptop, walking up with their head down. It was Fandango. He just nodded at me and winked. I nodded at him, and I walked away because I was set. I was set for the night. I was like, "This is cool." So
what's crazy about this story? I mean, this happened so many years ago, but 2 years ago when you were here, you wanted to bother Kristen Chenoweth at the Rainbow.
I did, because I don't live there. I mean, who gives a fuck? She'll look at you and be like, "Oh, there's that dick that had that idiot friend of his." The idiot friend's in PA. So
anyway,
hey,
moving on.
It's your turn to get me over for once. Anyways, go.
You're on the #1 podcast in North Bergen, New Jersey right now. Needless to say, you're over quite a bit. We're moving on to the King of the Ring. Now, as we were recording last week, it was announced Sami Zayn and Rey Mysterio would wrestle on Friday Night SmackDown, which we got the result that we expected. Sami Zayn was going to win. Now, at the time, we didn't know how many people were in the tournament and who was going to be in which side. So Finn Balor wrestled Cesaro in the main event of SmackDown last week, which was awesome. So good. And we got Finn. So tonight, if you're listening on Friday, it'll be Sami Zayn against Finn Balor in the semifinals. Then on Raw, we had talked about how Xavier Woods has kind of like been like begging to become King of the Ring. And he was in a really good match against Ricochet, and he ended up winning. And then Kofi and Jinder in the other match, which everyone was like, oh my God, we're going to get Kofi against Woods. Well, we're not getting that for a long time. Jinder Mahal did win, and then Woods and Jinder in the semifinals on Monday. And then the finals will be next week at Crown Royal Jewel, aka Allah in 4. Now, the problem I had with these tournaments is the Queen's Crown. The women don't get enough respect anyway. And this tournament has proved it. Last Friday on SmackDown, Toni Storm and Zelina Vega. Zelina won. Match time, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. The other match, Carmella and Liv Morgan. Carmella won in 1 minute and 36 seconds for a grand total of 3 minutes and 50 seconds on SmackDown. And then on Raw, we got Doudrop and Natty, 2 minutes and 57 seconds with Doudrop winning, and Shayna Baszler and Dana Brooke a whopping 1 minute and 25 seconds for a total of 4 minutes and 23 seconds on Raw. And if my math is correct, the entire first round of the Queen's Crown was 8 minutes and 13 seconds. This is horseshit. As good as the men's matches were, you couldn't give the women 5 to 7 minutes. It's absurd. So I don't know what's going to happen, between Zelina and Carmella, who they're homies, they're friends. And then, of course, Baszler and Doudrop. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how long they're going to get, but they got to have more time than this. Now, Doc, you've worked for several promotions in Pittsburgh. Have you dealt with any talents, you don't have to give names, who have like bitched and complained, hey, why is my match only 4 minutes and not 8? Or have you dealt with any of that personally? No names.
Yes, I've seen workers literally go, our time's 8 minutes. Fuck it, we're going 12.
So they just go into the business for themselves.
Yes, I've seen it happen. I've seen some ugly things backstage where then other workers had to cut their matches because of and then everybody's nose to nose. And then, one promoter will be like, Doc, you need to go and stop that. And I'm like, me and what fucking army? Yeah. I'm the commentator. I'm not like a security. But what's crazy about it is the simple fact is like, you have your times. And like one thing they always say backstage, no matter what promotion I've worked for, please, wrestlers, watch your times. Keep your times. Tell your ref, keep an extra eye on it. Just, tell them when it's time to wrap it up, you wrap it up. Go home is another statement they always like to say. And what's crazy about it is you have these wrestlers that do this, and once in a blue moon, they'll.
Stephanie McMahon strikes again. Lost you. We can read lips, so we know what you just said there. Kevin, what'd you think about the limited time for the women?
It proves that there's
am I back even yet?
Go ahead.
You're good.
Go ahead, Kevin.
It proves that main roster women, right? Men, there's main event, upper mid card, lower mid card, guys who are there to
the ladder. Yes.
Women have main event, everyone else. And everyone that's based, and this is no offense. I think Carmella, Zelina, Doudrop, Shayna, that honestly, they're all good, but they're not up to that main event. And they just
that was Zelina Vega's first win since coming
back. I think
the thing that makes no sense.
The crown. Now, if you said, say Asuka could come back from injury, Bayley could have came back from injury, throw in Bianca, Charlotte, all the best.
Make it a real Queen's Crown tournament.
Make that title of the crown, right? Mean something. It's just there.
Piggyback off what he's saying about Charlotte. Like you think about it, she already refers to herself as the queen.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be in the damn tournament. You know, like However, I think whoever wins this is going to be on the SmackDown side. And the reason I say that is, you're calling yourself the queen. I have the crown. So I think that might be the whoever's winning this is going to be the stepping stone up for Charlotte. This is going to be the
Shayna. I'm telling you, how awesome would that be? Shayna wearing that crown
and no sell everything she says.
No, think about it. Shayna wins.
I'm right. I'm right.
It's the hard reality, man.
She's the queen.
I'm right. She's the queen. Whoever wins, which will probably be Shayna Baszler, she's gonna say, "I'm the queen of spades," and Charlotte will be, "I'm the queen," and no, sell everything you say, and then beats her in like 12 minutes. And then Baszler is holding a stupid crown for no reason because Charlotte's still going to be, "It's the queen." And then we're going to have to deal with that. So this tournament is pointless without Charlotte.
They're going to have a match to be known as the queen.
Okay. She beats down Shayna Baszler. Then we get Bad Reputation, the return of Ronda Rousey on SmackDown.
Won't happen.
Why?
You know what? Why don't we just say
leading into Rumble
CM
and
Punk too? He hasn't been on WWE in over 7 years. I mean, that hasn't been.
Ronda she popped out her kid. She's getting back into shape. It's Rumble season. It's Rumble season.
Say that kid's first or middle name 3 times fast.
I don't even that name. They just threw letters against the wall. I don't even know what the hell the name of that kid is. But yeah, I think it'll be a SmackDown talent, and the Queen vs. Queen. That's a good call. But we're going to move on to NXT 2.0. Kevin, you ran through. You're our guy this week. Usually I give it to Brian, but he's not here. So
I made a nice in-depth list. I was excited to talk about it because the last couple of weeks I've DVR'd it, right? Watched it. And then there's been some times, dad life, which has made me not watch the entire episode. This week, I thought it was going to be something special just because it was kind of, Swerve hit Rose going to be hitting the road to SmackDown. And I know, he was the champ. They announced he was going to wrestle. I thought it would be a good night. So it starts off. I'm going to give my high points of the show. Then I kind of want you guys to give did everyone watch it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. And I kind of want to just gauge your guys because sometimes I think in my mind, sometimes everyone will agree. Sometimes everyone will be like, "Kevin, you're an idiot." So, Tommaso Ciampa versus Gacy right off the bat. Won Gacy. The match was way better than I thought it would be. Way better. And it got 11 minutes. So it was nice because there's NXT's one of those two that goes bam.
It's just because you're a Gacy hater snowflake, Kevin.
No, it was dang good. In
I love Gacy.
His facial expressions during the match, it was great. And Ciampa looked great. And then so much time, and then at the end, Ciampa's hugging it, and you knew when they kind of moved the camera a little bit, did a little.
And it was Billy Corrigan. Who would have thought it was Billy?
I thought it was yeah. But Harland, otherwise known, looks like Skinny Luther.
That Parker Boudreaux was his name on the Indies, and he has a great Instagram follow. Now it's Harland WWE. He's just fucking huge. He's jacked, and I thought how I see this going. Breaker wins the title at Halloween Havoc, and then Harland and Breaker, the two with that meaty men slapping meat monster match that Big E talks about, and then Ciampa just kind of goes away, or just is there to help put the young guys over. I love Harland. Like I said, I joke that he looks like Billy Corrigan, and he kind of does. But they just shaved his head, which I don't know what why they did that.
Yeah,
so.
But he's looks like a monster.
Doc. Yeah.
So here's my question. You don't think Ciampa gets a call up?
He doesn't want to go. He's already said I'll retire before.
I know he doesn't want to go, but sometimes money does talk.
He'll be an agent in the Indies. He'll go. Yeah, he'll make a ton of money on the Indies, or he'll be an agent at NXT.
Yeah, I could see him being an agent. I can see that. I'd like to see him get a hell of a run out of this. I'd like to see him beat Braun and just get about a couple more weeks in, and then maybe the next pay-per-view or next takeover, let it happen, but not on Halloween Havoc. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just puts a bad taste in my stomach. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. I just know. But yeah.
But then won't touch too much on Mandy, but that is one thing that I would like to touch because she looks phenomenal. I will say
where
it.
You were going with that one.
I'll say it again. The brunette, the outfit.
She does it. She does it well. She could be a blonde or a brunette, whatever color that hair is, she could do it.
And I'm getting what I want. I'm getting the women kick-ass faction. That's what they do now, and I love it. I've been wanting it for a year now. So I'm so pumped that I'm getting that.
What was the last women like faction that was running through NXT? Wasn't it the Riot Squad?
I think it was.
To a point, yeah.
And then we saw how it went when they got called up.
Yeah. But obviously Mandy's been back and forth. So I mean, this works. This Toxic Attraction works really well.
It really does. And then she's hot. Ivy Nile is scary. I didn't know much about her leading into this. Her match against Valentina Perez or Faraz. Match lasted just a couple minutes, but it was very nice to see the torture rack come back. A squat torture rack, and not even a torture rack because her competitor was so little and frail and skinny. Like the chick bent her, and it looked like she was gonna break. But nice thing about Ivy, they mentioned it, and I kind of did a little looking on Google too. Like she was on the Titan Games, the reality show hosted by The Rock, and I was watching some of her clips on there, and she's a scary athletic woman. Massive.
She's a badass.
CrossFit,
Period.
her hair with the shaved on the sides, Diamond Mine member. She's gonna be something, and she looked great in the ring, like pretty good for because you always. Not too much wrestling, I would say, experience. Wrestling someone without much experience, you never know what you're going to get when it's on live TV. But I think she succeeded. I thought it was a pretty good match. Her end move looks crazy. She looks like $1 million, and she's in a faction. So
and Bivens is the mouthpiece. It works.
Yeah. Do your guys' thoughts on Ivy?
I think I've said it. She's a badass.
She
doesn't
gonna
need
be
to
good.
talk.
You
put
said
it with
the
that
band thing. I was going to bring that up, but you hit it on the head. So.
And then, as good as Tomasa to kick it off, Swerve stole that show against Santo Escobar. And just even like halfway through, like he was in the back, saying like, they left the wrong Hit Row member alive. They didn't kidnap me, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, he was screaming and yelling, and it's just the grill in the mouth, just his enthusiasm. He goes against Escobar. Very surprising, right? He wins. He retains. In another match, I think it was like just under 12 minutes or just over 12 minutes. It was a nice long match. And then you're like, okay, but he's going to SmackDown. What happens?
Cash in.
Boom. Cash in. New champion, which is nice because he fought a really good match. Tired. The cash in, it was like a minute long. We have a new champ with Hayes, and then that's it. Now Swerve can go on to SmackDown. Hopefully, continue that success into SmackDown and just not get buried. Because
I think this is why Joe wears sunglasses. Because his wife, instead when Hit Row comes on, she says, "Hit Joe."
Hit Joe.
Yeah, so he's got the black
Joe,
eye.
Yeah. So I'll probably be healed up now because I'm gonna get beat up every Friday night, every Tuesday night. So yeah, when that stupid talk show was on, the fake Wendy Williams.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
She started off and went, Who here walks around the house humming Hit Row? And my wife in the background going, I hum the remix. and then she came downstairs and hit me again. So, yeah.
Yeah, Lash Legend, it's just fucking whack Wendy Williams. It's so bad. If you don't know who Wendy Williams is, in the 2000s, she was a New York City radio host. She got a TV talk show now. It's so bad. It is just so bad. One thing from NXT that I saw, Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly, could they be Shawn and Diesel? No, really? Am I the only one?
I think so because there's no. Kyle O'Reilly's not Sean.
Yes,
I get
just
that,
don't
but
see it.
no, I think it could work.
but Riley doesn't have the charisma that Michaels does. Michaels had
That's
that
what I'm
charisma.
saying.
Michaels had that dance. He could dance around Diesel. Diesel could look like a badass the whole time. The two dudes of attitudes era. And when they were just standing there, like when Diesel stood there, Michaels did all the like charismatic stuff. Diesel didn't have to do it. I hate to say it. Kyle Riley, amazing worker in the ring, but when it comes to like the charisma and stuff, when you look at the Undisputed Era, who was the mouthpiece for that? Who was the charismatic one? Well, the guy that's now in Jacksonville. So.
Yeah, that's
Bobby
true.
Fish.
Yes, Bobby Fish indeed.
Hey, he had a hell of a match. He had a hell of a debut, man. I'm excited to see what lies in store for him. So.
And then one thing I did not like about NXT, and every week I haven't really had too many negative things. I don't like the announce team in business casual.
Yeah.
Vic Joseph in a members only jacket. No, he's got to be in a suit.
Brown members. Yeah, it was really weird. One thing I really don't like about it too, like the guard railing being see-through. I think it's kind of like a clear plastic glass. All it needs is some dude like pulling out his junk to be on camera or something.
I don't think that's going to happen there.
Dude, I was thinking it reminds me of a
like
hockey
from a
ring,
nightclub when
and
it does the
Kevin,
wrestling.
you went the wrong way.
But it's not a hockey, but you see all the way down to their feet.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Well, it's just like a bike rack.
yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. Looks weird.
And AEW is a bike rack.
Everyone's up to their own opinions. My opinions are
yours is just the wrong ones.
Nope.
One last thing from NXT. It's going to be my favorite every week. For Brandon to go give Steve a big fuck you from Andre Chase. Chase University. I almost bought that shirt today, the Chase U sweater.
They sold the sweater?
They have the long sleeve. They have the T-shirt. They have the tank top.
That's awesome.
They're doing these classroom vignettes. And Brandon spoke up and he said, go with Steve. Go down the hall with Steve and give him a big fuck you. I just laughed my ass off at Andre Chase. Anything else from NXT, guys, before we move on? No.
Okay.
So there was no Dynamite because of the NHL's debut on TNT, and that airs this Saturday. But there is a lot of AEW stuff to talk about. And earlier today, we record on Thursday. It came out, airs on Friday. A tweet came out today of a photo of Tony Khan at the Jaguars game. And he had like the program with the team rosters, but then he had a piece of paper with the Full Gear lineup, the card, and some moron on the internet zoomed in and posted the entire card for storylines that haven't even started yet. So I can't figure out why Tony Khan would have the Full Gear list at a Jaguars game. Yes, we know they suck, but why is he trolling? Or what's worse, him doing that to troll or the idiots online that zoomed in to post the spoilers? Kevin, we'll start with you.
What do you have the list in front of you to mention?
We don't do
spoiler-free show. Thanks for listening.
Could this be a situation where he knew what he was doing, just to play the people doing it, and those feuds are nowhere to be seen, and then it's going to come and be like,
the main event is announced, but it's not.
But we knew that was going to happen.
That's a given.
That's a given.
But I just don't understand why he'd be walking. Like, come on, dude. Like, just I don't know.
It's not real. It's not real.
Doc, any thoughts on this?
No disrespect. Tony Khan's still learning here and there when it comes to like kayfabe and stuff like that. So what I'm thinking is, this is like a 50-50 crapshoot right here, because you have he could be knowing what he's doing, like, hey guys, look what's happening, or he could literally have just been like, my God, they're not going to win. Let me get my other job done, and kind of, oops, I did, I done messed up. I mean, that's basically what I'm seeing here. However, I mean, that man always has tricks up his sleeve. He's getting sneakier than Vince, and that's a big statement there because Vince is the master of sneakiness, and I have a gut feeling when AEW goes head to head with WWE on Friday, I have a gut feeling Vince has something in his pocket. I just don't know what it is yet. I haven't figured it out yet. All I'm going to say is it might be drastic and fiendish.
Nah,
I'm just saying.
I would love to see it because I've said all along I think Bray goes back to WWE, but I don't know. And you know, I'm glad you brought up Friday. SmackDown is airing on FS1 because of the baseball playoffs. They announced that there's going to be an extra 90 minutes. It's going to be a Super SmackDown. And on SmackDown, Brock Lesnar is going to be there. Becky and Sasha in a non-title match, and the King and Queen matches that we talked about earlier. So Tony Khan and AEW, to counter program that half hour, they're going to do an entire hour, that second hour that SmackDown's on, and it's going to be on their YouTube channel. It's the buy-in. And on that, it's Daniel Bryan versus Minoru Suzuki, which is a dream match for sure. And Bryan came out and said, look, I wrestled Suzuki in like 2003 and he beat my ass. You know, I've learned some stuff over the years too, but and then another one, aforementioned former mouthpiece and leader of the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish, is wrestling Lee Moriarty, who is a guy Doc has a relationship with and knows from the Pittsburgh Indies. So those are going to be great matches on the buy-in. And then Rampage has Ruby Soho and the Bunny, CM Punk versus Matt Sydal, and the Inner Circle against the Men of the Year and former UFC champion Junior Dos Santos. What the fuck? Like, for this leaked photo at the Jaguars game, pretty sneaky, pretty good. I'm sure he knew what he was doing. I have no idea why JDS the only person from American Top Team that needs to be on AEW television is Dan Lambert. Masvidal can't wrestle. He's going to be in the corner. I'm so frustrated. Like, if you go back to when this podcast started, Doc, I know you didn't listen early. I love AEW. I loved it. Everything about it. Couldn't do no wrong. And then they did everything they said they weren't going to do. And while I know
two adjectives,
new and fresh, they are neither. I know it's good for the business, but for me personally, I'm losing interest in AEW, which I know is shocking.
I'm not. I'm happy with what the product's given me. I even now. I mean, the fact that you have the simple fact that you have CM Punk and Brian Danielson, you know, right now in the league.
We call him Daniel Bryanson on this show.
I've said that numerous times. I grew up tonight. I've been accidentally called.
It doesn't matter. We all know what you mean.
All right. So I will say this, and then I'll say my piece. I'm happy with AEW, but I'm starting to look towards WWE again. It's all looking good to me.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, these they are pushing Jungle Boy though. I did see how they're putting him in some hot up matches and things like that. But if you notice, like the title match, you know, they didn't give CM Punk, they didn't give Daniel Bryanson any title shot right away. I mean, they're sticking with the plan, which I mean, it was a long time coming. Hangman deserves to hold that gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great that they still went with that. Even though they got the stars that they did, they're still going with their initial plan. And you know, some of these guys could go in there with an ego, but these guys aren't walking in with an ego. They're like, sure, let's do it. You know, CM Punk's just like a fantasy list right now. He's like, ooh, can I work this guy? Can I try to work this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I really want to work this guy. And I think that's great, is the fact that he just wants to wrestle. He doesn't give a shit about the titles. He doesn't give a shit about that pipe bomb, prestige, whatever. You know, he comes out and does his little love fest, but he's just happy to be back. He's just a happy guy. It's good to see him happy for once.
I mean, I don't know if you heard, he hasn't wrestled in almost 7 years. So, I mean, Joe,
really
thoughts?
7 years. Okay, sorry.
Joe, thoughts on the counter programming, and don't you dare say what you were saying about Wednesdays.
Oh no.
War. Huh.
It's not a war.
Gotcha. What
It's
is
not a war.
good fun? No, I wasn't going to say that, but I decided to sing it. I got to be in agreement with everyone when it says this is good for the business, period. When we're talking about AEW and WWE, it's making WWE better, but it's also making Impact better. It's also making GCW a thing. People are interested in that as well. So I actually think Tony Khan screwed up with the he was doing his, and isn't it his dad that owns the Jaguars? He doesn't own the Jaguars.
He's the analytics guy, like the numbers guy and the stats guy.
He's the Moneyball guy. So it doesn't, and he's not doing a very good job because they're like my Lions, Ofer. So I think when the Lions are playing, I'm doing other things as well for my other job. So I think he just screwed up, and someone took a picture of him being there, and then someone took that picture, zoomed in, and went, "Oh, that's got to be it." It doesn't mean it's real, though.
You think it's real? You think he didn't know?
Doesn't mean. I don't think he knew, but I don't think that's the final card. I think he was working on the card because the game was pretty much out of whack anyway, and he got caught.
Did you just get worked into a shoot like Brian and the pizza cutter?
Card subject to change.
Kevin, thoughts on the counter programming?
I just think I'll keep it nice and quick, just like those women matches for the crown. I think it's very smart of Tony Khan to put Bryan Danielson in the buy-in. I think it's very, very smart. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I mean, I don't plan on watching the buy-in live because it'll be on YouTube forever.
Yeah, either will I. I'll watch it after.
And then so Saturday on Rampage or Dynamite, the Lucha Bros against Andrade's masked tag team. I don't know for sure who it is, but I have one idea of who it could be. That they don't normally wear masks, but they're free agents. They could just throw masks on. Do you guys have any thought on who it might be? Any thoughts on your own of who this tag team might be?
Yes, I do.
Who do you think it is?
Authors of Pain.
It's exactly who I thought it was. And
they
it
do
would
wear
make
masks
sense
at first when they come out, don't they?
Exactly.
When they take them off.
Yeah, the welders masks. So I don't know. That could be a good one. And it would work because they don't have to talk. Let Andrade and his whatever Guerrero manager he has this month. So,
well, his father-in-law is kind of busy right now, so he can't really be.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, well, we don't discuss him right now on this.
He's the reason why I haven't worn my my new shirts. Damn it.
Yeah. So AEW, it's some interesting stuff. They are going to have some details coming up, possibly this weekend, about the Owen Hart tournament, the Owen Cup. So stay tuned for that. If you do want to listen to a good podcast with CM Punk, he was on Barstool's My Mom's Basement podcast with Robbie Fox. Great podcast where he talks about how if the championships, he's like, they're not needed. And it just seems like it's either everyone's a champion or nobody's a champion. And he's like, about needing belts and how he doesn't want all these titles and how he's open to them getting the TBS title, which if you look at the title, it looks like it says hose instead of TBS. But it was a great podcast, My Mom's Basement with Robbie Fox on the Barstool Network. So normally at this time, we would be doing the 5 count, but this week we're going to do something a little different. Crown Royal is next Thursday. I mean, Crown Jewel, aka All Out in 4. And we're just going to do a quick little preview. We told Doc how it all goes, so we're going to run through the list. We're going to start at the bottom of the card and work our way to the top. And we're going to start with Kevin, the biggest match on the card other than the main event. Mansoor against Mustafa Ali. How do you think this one's going to go?
I think I'll keep it like I mentioned with the other one. I'm going to keep it nice and quick, like the women's matches as of like Mansoor wins. Joe mentions he's like the Undertaker of the Crown Jewel. I think it'll be fun. I think both guys are going to get cheered upon no other.
Yeah.
It'll be good. And I just think Mansoor's going to win. Even though personally, I'd like to see Ali win, but Mansoor's going to pick up the victory.
Well, Mansoor, though, he won the greatest Royal Rumble there. He's like undefeated in Saudi. So, I mean, I'm guessing that'll continue. But Doc, thoughts on Mansoor against Ali?
Kevin hit it on the head. That's the Undertaker of Crown Jewel. So, I mean, he's the hometown guy.
Yeah. Moving on to the Raw Tag Titles match. RK Bro against Omos and AJ. Kevin, Joe, what do you think? How's this going to go?
I'm just going to go with since we're celebrating Crown Royal. I'm going to take a little sip.
Ooh.
It's RK Bro. AJ and Omos, they will be broken up afterwards. So RK Bro for the win.
Do you think RK Bro will break up before AJ and Omos?
No, I think AJ and Omos are going to break up before
Okay.
RK Bro.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet that the tag belts stay on RK Bro for now. Kevin, Edge and Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. You're an Edge guy?
I've gone back and forth, just like they've been trading victories back and forth. I hope this is a nice, long, destructive match and Edge pulling out the victory because with RK Bro, I agree with the previous you guys saying they're going to retain Edge. Hopefully this will, even though him and Seth, the program has been really good. I want it to fizzle down. Then I want Randy to be torn of RK Bro versus maybe an rated RKO reunion. So Randy's like kind of torn between, his old partner and new partner, but maybe down the road a little bit. But I think Edge is going to pull out the victory.
That's a great storyline idea.
Remember the last time before?
Just his bicep, right? Or
remember the last time Seth had a Hell in a Cell match in Saudi was a no contest against the Fiend. So they have to do better. They have to do better. And I think Edge will win this, and this will be the beginning of him moving on from the feud. Joe, Lashley and Goldberg.
Oh, it should be Lashley. It will be Goldberg.
You think the Prince has that much booking power?
Yep. I think it should be Lashley. It will be Goldberg.
And will Goldberg's kid get any shots in on Lashley?
No, he won't.
Will he do the run-in?
No, he's not going to do the run-in, and they're going to say, I love my son, and then Lashley's going to get, Goldberg's going to murder him afterwards. He's going to take Drew McIntyre's sword and just chase him around the ring.
Oh, yeah, because Goldberg's been talking about killing and death during this feud. Yeah,
You're
Doc.
dead.
Doc, thoughts on Goldberg-Lashley?
I just think that Goldberg is so over with the Prince that it's not gonna, and it sucks, but it's what it is. I don't see. If Goldberg's son comes out, I think that Saudi crowd boos it because they have such weird beliefs.
They hate white kids. Is that what you're saying? They're racist against white kids.
We'll just go with it. Yeah. Fuck them kids. No, I'm just.
That's why Nicholas never made it over.
No one ever saw that. No one's seen the meme yet where Lashley has his son and just it says like in the Nike letters, "Fuck them kids."
I've seen Roman with that one. I've seen a few people with that, but I have not seen the Lashley one. But yeah, I think that's the safe bet. Now, earlier I had talked about what I think is going to happen in Survivor Series. So Becky, Bianca, and Sasha, triple threat, probably the match of the night. Or, well, I guess at our time, it'll be in the afternoon before we record next week. I think Becky does win, which then, sets up her and Charlotte at Survivor Series to unify the titles. Kevin, thoughts on the women's three-way?
I think Becky's
I went to the wrong person. Jesus Christ.
That's
I wish Mandy was in it.
I wish I was in that threesome.
That'd be a foursome then. Just saying. Yes, I'll take it. I think Becky will retain just to keep her momentum, but I think Bianca's going to come out looking like $1 million.
Big E and Drew for the WWE Championship. Doc, what do you think?
Big E. I think Big E. They want to keep this rolling. I mean, people are loving it. I mean, if you look at it, he's already starting to act like a champion. I mean, he was at the Tyson Fury fight. He was at Iowa cheering on his alma mater.
Yeah.
And now, I really feel that it's going to go down to one of them matches where they shake hands in respect and walk away. But I feel that Big E, is going to go over Drew. However, setting up the Survivor Series matchup that people really want to see already. They are already saying we want Roman and Big E. It's been there's on the Twitter machine, on just all over social media. People want to see that matchup because people have already seen Drew versus Roman last Survivor Series. So do you really want to see another sequel to that? No. You
only if there's dog food involved.
Oh, no, don't bring that up. I
That
get
was
it.
Corbin.
Yeah, so whatever, same thing. I'm kind of over Drew at this point. Like, he looks great. He just needs to be a bad guy. Like, good guy Drew doesn't do it for me. Joe, what do you think? Big E or Drew?
Oh, it's Big E. He's the only one on Raw. Drew's on SmackDown. They already have the head of the table on SmackDown. They can't have two belts over there.
Yeah. And the main event, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns for the Universal title. We all will get a say on this. I will go first. That only child syndrome thing. I think this is where Paul Heyman turns on Roman, and Brock will win the title. Kevin?
I'm 100% aligned with you. You took it right out of my mind. I think they've been teasing it. I think if it leads to us seeing more Brock on TV, I'm up for it because I want if Roman wins, I don't want Brock to go away, right? I want him to squeak right on by. But if Brock wins, I want a continuous feud. Like Doc, you mentioned Big E and Roman. I know it would be great, but I want to see how this match between Brock and Roman is. I want Brock to win, and then Roman, still head of the table. It's still Roman's show, if champion or not. But I want the how can I say it? The Norwegian looking lumberjack to win.
Well, as the head of the That Wrestling podcast table, it was wise for you to agree with me. Doc, we'll go to you. What do you think is going to happen in the main event?
I think Paul Heyman helps Brock, but accidentally. I think he gets in the ring, and he has this like deer in headlights look, which you've seen already. And I feel like he's going to cost Roman the match because, of course, the Prince is big on Brock. I mean, the Prince wanted him right beside him at dinner time. If you watched the last time they were in Saudi, they had a big dinner. And Brock was right near the Prince. I thought that, and he was like, I want Brock by me. He's a huge Brock fan. So I think Brock goes over, but Royal Rumble time, Roman gets that belt back, and you hear the words after the bell rings when that main event is over. If you smell what The Rock.
Hopefully. I mean, The Rock is a rapper now. I don't know if you heard his song that came out this week. Yeah, he does say the F word. So, Joe, what do you think of the main event? What's going to happen?
First of all, Kevin, have you been watching WWE since 2012 when Brock came back? He doesn't have long runs. He's there for a week and then takes some breaks. So this wishful thinking of Lesnar being on every week, oh, I wish I lived in your mind. Must be nice. I have to say, acknowledge the head of the table. Roman has to win. He has to win. The Prince, I agree with all three of you that the Prince loves Brock. That's why he's going. He's getting mucho dinero for it. But Brock goes away until the Royal Rumble after Crown Royal.
Do they speak Spanish in Saudi?
No, but I can't speak Arabic, so sorry. That's just the way it is. So I'm going with the only foreign language I learned in high school, and I only know it asi. The point is, Roman wins. He has to win. Fox is not going to be happy with Roman being the head of the table, but they have no champion.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They're the major network.
True.
USA is not. So it's got to be Roman.
Go ahead.
All right, I got a question for you. So you say Roman goes over. Do you think he goes over clean, or do you think he goes over thanks to the Usos, or like I said, with Heyman, with the schmoz maybe?
Oh, Heyman shenanigans. He's going to do something to accidentally hit Roman. I 100% agree with that, but Roman will kick out due to Uso-ference.
Ooh, is that Is that shirt coming to whatamaneuver.net soon?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the Askai team to debut.
Okay.
Hey,
Gotcha.
Joe, I know a few things in Spanish. That comment was así.
Yeah, so I already said
So.
así.
No, but you didn't say so.
I said así.
I understand
Thanks
that,
for
but you
listening.
didn't say it meant so.
Oh, well, punta.
That's funny.
There we go.
So Crown Royal Jewel, aka Allah in 4, is this upcoming Thursday. We will talk a little bit about it next week because we record on Thursday night. So shortly after it happens, we'll go to air and we can talk about that. But Kevin, what happened in the NFL picks this week?
We're currently on the bye.
We are in the bye weeks. There's no video coming this weekend.
And Brett's pissed because he usually gets a popsicle to make the videos, and he wants to jump off things. So it's usually we film him on Thursday. He's like, Dad, what am I going to jump off this time? And I'm like, buddy, it's the bye week. He's like, whereas last year was a little bit of a chore some of the weeks, but this year he's all in. Brett and Harper, they had 2 separate games going head to head, and then they both picked the Ravens, who won, and the kids split 50-50. So the kids both went 2-1 this week to increase their scores 7-8 on the season. So they're
all right.
1 game under 500 tied. So if it ends up that way, Brett will be happy.
So you can see the NFL pick videos on our YouTube channel. Just search That Wrestling Podcast or at That WrestlePod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They are posted every week. And it'll be interesting because the week off, the GMs, I don't know. I mean, I think we had to have Grandma come in last year, right, Kevin? Wasn't there a GM change midway through?
Laura, my wife took over for about 4 weeks. Yeah.
So, check those videos out on YouTube and social media. You can also pick up a That Wrestling Podcast shirt on our What a Maneuver store. We've got the logo, we got the Bruise Next tee, and we've got the TWP Hollywood shirt, which part of those proceeds have been going to help make Raw better. And let's play the commercial. We'll play the commercial right now.
The following announcement has been paid for by That Wrestling Podcast.
You want to kick ass like That Wrestling Podcast? You gotta be wearing the official That Wrestling Podcast merchandise.
Because you're either with us or you're against us.
Get your That Wrestling Podcast merchandise at whatamaneuver.net and search That Wrestling Podcast.
And remember, all proceeds go to the Help Make Raw Great Again Foundation.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by That Wrestling Podcast.
Man,
it's working.
Unreal.
It's working.
Oh, I know. Whatamaneuver.net. Search That Wrestling Podcast. Pick up a shirt. Support independent podcasts in whatamaneuver.net. They do great things for independent artists, bands, podcasts, wrestlers. Probably the best place to open up a store if you are looking to do so. Doc, thanks for hanging out this week. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can tweet me at Wrestling with Doc. It's in the name right here. Also, I have a Facebook page with the same Wrestling with Doc. And there you go. Facebook and Twitter. Instagram, I'm still working on.
And if you are just listening, it is Wrestling W Doc on Twitter and Facebook. You can check that out. Brian will be back next week. Have a great week. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Dangerous Darren for the voiceover. We are wasted for the theme music. And we'll talk to you next week on That Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!